So after a full month of using the Apple Vision Pro, I think it's time to put it side by side with the Meta Quest 3. And I know, one is priced at $500 and the other sits at a whopping $3,500. It's a huge contrast, and that's why I'm going to not only show you the differences in, well, performance and features, but also what their content offerings look like, and most importantly, what the overall experience gives you. I've been extensively testing them to find out if they're suitable for various activities like socializing, entertainment, productivity, and of course gaming. So let's dive in, shall we? And I'll uncover the unique qualities of both Vision and Quest without bias or preconception. Enjoy! We kick things off with the setup, and let me tell you, they're actually quite similar, but also the exact opposite. On Quest, for example, you need to use the official Meta app to install the headset and log into the device. Once set up, it wants you to create a play space too. As you spend most of your time in virtual reality playing games, it requires digital boundaries so you can safely launch your VR titles without having to worry you're going to hit something. Next to that, you can of course use the Passthrough anywhere you want. Setting up the Vision is a bit easier. The installation process is integrated with an iPhone or iPad and can also be done without a mobile device. Apple's headset mainly focuses on augmented reality, so it doesn't need boundaries and scans your surroundings in real time. Because Vision is integrated into Apple's lineup of products, all of its standard apps can be instantly accessed if you are already within their ecosystem. As your iCloud data is being sent over during setup, all the data you've saved elsewhere gets put onto the headset immediately. Meta not selling anything else besides Ray-Bans and Quest means you can't do this on their device, making it less functional and personalized after the initial setup. Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, they don't even come pre-installed. You can of course download them yourself, but then you discover that they have been in beta for years and don't fully adapt to the headset. And that brings us nicely to the user interfaces, because the UI is where you can see the notable differences. Apple's years of experience in the mobile market certainly shine through. It's entirely customized and designed to align with how we use our phones. Its menu, settings, and store are neatly organized and easy to find and navigate, being a promising gateway for those who aren't into tech but do use a mobile device. One might expect Meta, with their years of experience and owning successful social media platforms, to achieve a similar user-friendly interface. Throughout the existence of the Quest lineup, they've been really trying to develop a more streamlined UI, but to this day have not completely succeeded in pulling this off. I've been using their headsets for years, and even as a tech enthusiast, I still need to think about where I'm going when I'm in the menu or settings. Although you do have to give them credit for inventing a quicker method to summon a window or get into VR by double tapping the side of the headset. Oh, I love that feature. Anyways, the focus on content is completely different too. Browsing through the main Quest store will mostly find you VR games and fitness experiences, with on top a handful of apps that can be utilized for productivity, art, education, and entertainment. The only issue is that its search engine is so focused on finding games that it's difficult for anyone to discover everything else it can do, downplaying its potential. On Vision, it's the other way around. They have a separate tab for their small selection of native games and offer a wide range of AR apps that focus on lifestyle, social media, being productive, entertaining, and ones that educate you. Its content lineup is not only better categorized, but has more variation as well, because next to native software, you can easily download apps that were made for iPhone and iPad. Having gone through a lot of apps on these headsets, it's clear that Quest's content mostly exists out of active experiences, while Vision's apps are closer to being passive. You could say that the Apple Vision is more of a computer and the Quest a gaming console. And talking about performance, the first is definitely more stable and responsive during multitasking sessions. Apple's self-made chipsets easily outperform the single one of Quest 3. You can have a bunch of apps open wherever you want and use them all at the same time without seeing loading times increase or causing frames to drop. It's no surprise that the Quest is very good at running games. The XR2 does exactly what you expect it to do and makes sure that VR titles are fast and optimized, so you can focus on the action and immersion. Oh yeah, baby. Unfortunately, it does struggle in the multitask department. Quest is limited to 3 apps per session, which are glued onto each other in a horizontal position and, as you can see, are already pretty heavy on the machine. You have to deal with random frame drops, buffering windows that sometimes fail to respond at all, forcing you to reboot, and the worst part is when tracking starts to get jumpy. Although, with that being said, based on their respectful use cases, these headsets are great at hand tracking. For example, navigating apps and managing windows on Vision is a true pleasure. Of course, it's useful that the tracking range is huge, so you don't have to get tired holding your hands up. You can just casually use it. Actually, Apple's entire operating system was developed around your fingers, so it's quick, snappy, and you don't have to think much about how you're doing it, as it already feels familiar. It helps that your hands are viewable at all times, even inside VR, giving you major holodeck vibes and blurring the lines between what's real and what isn't. On the other hand, Meta's OS was initially made to work with motion controls, and it kind of shows. It makes their UI feel even more confusing and illogical when switching to your hands. Plus, it also doesn't help that they decided to go for these ghost hands, which are very distracting. From a technical perspective, the hand tracking is pure witchcraft on this headset, but thanks to its cumbersome UI, is not always being utilized to its full potential. The Quest does outmatches the Vision in games. Oh, but more on that later. Stay tuned because it's going to be juicy. Very, very juicy. So being backed up by eye tracking does give Vision a few distinct advantages. First off, you don't have to adjust the lenses. You can open something by just looking at it and then confirm with a simple gesture. It scans your eyeballs to log in, lets you type super fast, and uses dynamic foveated rendering, a method that only renders what's in your EyeSight. So, Quest 3 not having your eyes tracked does limit its performance and how good the hand tracking plus UI could truly be. Anyhow, let's talk about something Vision doesn't have, shall we? Which are, of course, controllers. Quest takes the lead here, as you can choose to switch between using your hands, motion controls, or a mix of both. Compared to hand tracking, they work in like 99% of the applications. The accuracy and haptic feedback they give you are no match for hand tracking, but do not always prove to be necessary for each use case. So keep your eyes peeled when I test them during productivity and gaming sessions. One thing I do know for sure, and that is that the batteries last for weeks. They are so good. So when we move on to comfort, things start to get real spicy. You can buy Apple's headset online or in-store, and by doing a face scan, they give you a strap and light seal that is tailored to you. Getting a custom fit is fantastic service, but does mean it's difficult to share with others, unless you spend more money on additional accessories. The Quest is also available on and offline, but is a one-size-fits-all, or at least that's what's being promised by Meta. However, it is definitely easier to share with friends and family. Funny enough, out of the box, I find both headsets not comfy enough to wear for hours on end. Yes, I know, the Vision has more tech on board featuring premium materials, so it is significantly heavier than Quest, which is less advanced and uses lightweight plastic. But their soft straps simply can't balance out the level of weight that sit on your forehead. Vision's standard band is much nicer to wear in the back versus that of Quest, but misses an overhead strap. Its secondary band does have one, but ends up on the same level of comfort as Meta's headset. So you're just going in a loop here. Meta does in fact sell additional hard straps that improve the Quest big time. The build quality may not be that great, but do level up the comfort. So, on Quest, the battery is built into the front, while Vision uses an external one, that of the size of a phone, and I don't necessarily mind having to slide one into my pocket, but the problem is that you have to wear it at all times, because otherwise you drag the battery or headset alongside with you. To use it when wearing a dress or skirt, you have to buy an additional battery holder, and hot swapping means you have to completely turn it off first. So in this case, Meta's headset is simply easier and feels less backwards and more inclusive. It does consume more power than Vision, which slightly outpaces it in general playtime, clocking in at about 3 hours versus Quest 3's 2.5. On top of that, you can just plug them into the wall, and then it doesn't matter how long your battery is gonna last. So there you go. The Passthrough is an easy one. After having used them for over a month, it's clear that Vision is just superior. You can't really see this on compressed video, but its Passthrough is sharp, has low latency, responds quickly to changing light sources, features far less noise, and overall is realistic enough to perceive as your own. You can enjoy it for long durations without feeling motion sick or needing to adapt to the real world. It's fascinating how it offers filters and lets you choose how much you want to be in Passthrough versus being fully immersed, and is even able to show your family members through a portal. While Vision does suffer from chromatic aberration and motion blur, I do prefer this over Quest's warped and distorted view. Yes, its popping brightness and contrast may be nicer, but also the reason why you get so much noise washing out your image. Plus, in its home screen, you can only choose between VR or no VR. There is no option in between. In its defense, it's not unusable by any means. Basic chores such as doing the laundry or emptying the dishwasher in between gaming or productivity sessions can be done just as effectively. In mixed reality or spatial computing, Vision truly excels. The menus, apps, and the 3D objects seamlessly blend with the space around them, casting shadows on the surface and reflecting lights from outside, ultimately providing depth to your visual experience. Quest's menu seems to miss out on all of this. I know we're talking about details here, but they do make the whole thing a lot more realistic and appealing to use like they're physically there. It may come as no surprise that Meta's Passthrough is being mostly used in games, making them come to life in your room in the most magical ways possible. In general, they have a more playful approach, while Apple's headset takes the spotlight with productivity and multimedia, enhancing your workflow and transforming your surroundings into a movie theater. But there is one thing that does make it playful too, and in light of that, let's move on to the next topic, which are spatial videos. The Vision is the first headset that lets you capture 3D photos and video. Watching them back feels like looking through a window into the past. It's beautiful and emotional at the same time to relive your most cherished memories as if they could jump straight out of their frames. The Quest can't do this right now, but I wouldn't necessarily say you are missing out. I rarely shoot spatials with the headset as you don't tend to take it outside, but I do on my mobile device. If you have an iPhone 15 Pro or above, you can take spatial content yourself, upload them, and watch them back not only on Vision, but also in the Quest, which is a great example of how a rising tide can lift all boats. Next up are the displays and lenses. Looking at the price difference, it's pretty obvious that Quest's resolution doesn't get close to what Vision offers in the visual department. Personally, for me, it's all about the use case. Based on that, I can immerse myself in either device depending on what I want to do. Meta's headset does actually have a bigger field of view, but when I'm engaged with something, it hits me with the same level of immersion. Looking at who they're for, it makes total sense. On Quest, the field of view matters a lot when playing games, as the action usually happens around you. While on Vision, resolution is more important, as you want to be able to clearly read windows during work and consume entertainment like you're in a real cinema, which is naturally in your line of sight. Having mentioned that, with EyeSight, a total new feature, people on the outside can see what you're up to. Vision displays when you're FaceTiming, for example, busy working, or watching a movie, and showing your eyes when you look at someone. It's not that well executed from a hardware perspective right now, but despite its limitations, I can see how this tech could maybe normalize wearing headsets. We'll see, it could also be that it's just a gimmick after all. Now, talking about audio, the headsets do the job well, but again serve distinct purposes. The speakers of Vision are crisp, adapt and match a sound to your space, are ray traced, and deliver a substantial amount of bass. In comparison, the Quest sounds way less impressive, but for gaming specifically, are not bad at all. If you do want to go beyond that, then it does feature a jack that lets you plug in your headphones. Now, you are bound to a cable because trying to do this wirelessly will sadly cause serious delays. You can also decide to rock Razer's wireless earbuds, which are a collaboration between Meta. They sound great, but do require a special USB-C receiver to properly function over Bluetooth. The Vision supports ultra-low latency, so you don't have to mess around with cables. If you already own a pair of AirPods or even better headphones, you're in luck. Although pairing non-Apple devices, like my Sony XM4s for example, have yet to work. In regards of voice commands, the integration of Siri is handy. It's not AI driven, but instead of relying on your eyes or hands, you can simply ask it to open or close a specific app and inquire about the weather. While the Quest can also perform voice commands, it is restricted to broader assignments and, weirdly enough, North America only. Oh, and here's what their microphones sound like. So this is what the microphone of the Quest 3 sounds like in full pass-through. And this is what it sounds like in VR. This is what the microphone of the Vision Pro sounds like in pass-through. And this is what it sounds like in a immersive environment. The headset's avatars are a day and night difference. Currently, Meta goes for a full-body avatar with a cartoony look. You have to generate one by choosing pre-built options, and since Quest has no face or eye tracking, moves based on what the system thinks looks most natural. What's a big deal though is that they do function on their own in fully 3D environments, giving Quest a strong social framework. What I am surprised by is that you can't use your avatar to video call on WhatsApp or Messenger. That said, Apple tries to aim for realism. Their so-called personas combine the face and eye tracking to give it a more lifelike feel and can be created by scanning your face with the outward cameras. They are integrated in most communication apps from Discord, FaceTime, Google Meet, Teams, Zoom. I mean, I could go on forever. That's the main reason I think why they don't have lags and are stuck in little floaty windows. Apple says they are working on making them spatial so they can function in multiplayer experiences, but are waiting till personas are fully out of beta. In this case, Meta is definitely ahead here, as you can already use their avatars in shared environments. And talking about partying up, in the social field, Vision feels quite isolating. Besides voice calls, board games, and social media, there aren't many online apps that let you spatially hang with friends or strangers. On Quest, there are tons of games and experiences that let you physically meet in VR. You can even share a mixed reality space together and go on an adventure by choosing your own playground. Meta also has its own social world called Horizon that is integrated within the Quest's ecosystem, but sadly is geo-blocked in most countries outside of the US. Let me tell you, entertainment on these headsets is a mixed bag. Vision is absolutely fantastic, as apps like HBO, NBA, and Red Bull TV digitally dim your room and cast lights into your space like a real screen. On Apple TV and Disney Plus, you even have high-quality environments that create an extra dimension to what you're watching. Movies, sports, or series, they're gorgeous on this headset, but films in 3D are in a league of their own, and so are documentaries and concerts shot in 180. The only major apps that are missing are Netflix and of course YouTube, with the latter already being in development. On Quest, you can have a movie night too, but looking at the dire state its streaming services are in makes it very difficult to enjoy. Besides big screens supporting multiplayer and some 3D movies, you have to deal with a Netflix app that hasn't seen an update since Quest 1 launched. Prime seems to have been abandoned as well with its low-resolution cinema, and then there is Quest TV, which, with a few exceptions, lets you watch blurry 180 and 360 content at, yes, the highest quality. Its concerts and VR animation section is the only part that's worth visiting, but heavily under-promoted. Next to Pluto and X Stadium for sports activities, you can use YouTube, a welcoming addition and great for watching all kinds of videos and of course shorts. So looking at the entertainment offerings and how they use the headsets, Vision is the clear winner, despite not having Netflix or a finalized YouTube app. Productivity is where things start to get really interesting. The Quest being limited to 3 apps per session does make it challenging, but not impossible to perform basic work tasks. For example, you can use Word, PowerPoint and Excel in your home screen, which is fantastic. You would think though that Microsoft and Meta having teamed up to bring the Office software to the headset would give you optimized apps that were made with the Quest in mind, but sadly, you're still dealing with lazy web versions. And then there is also Microsoft Mesh that I can't even get access to right now. Looking at the reviews, I don't seem to be the only one. With Apple, things become a lot easier, as you can launch more than 3 apps, utilizing its processing power and creating the wildest combinations that work best for you. It lets you control native and compatible iPad apps all at once. It works exactly as you would expect it to do, and doesn't take long to make a personal work environment. So switching back to Meta, if you want, you can use your PC inside the headset. That's right, in Horizon Workrooms, Meta's own productivity app lets you bring your physical screens into a virtual office. And what's great is that next to full pass-through, you can see your desk through a portal, so you can continue using it in VR. And if you want, transform your controller into a stylus. Absolutely genius. Horizon is also the place where you can host meetings with other colleagues, but what's a bit limited currently is that you can't open native Quest apps alongside with it. And well, the headset's unstable software sometimes makes it crash, forcing you to leave the office early. Since Vision utilizes its entire ecosystem, it does not need a dedicated productivity app to transform your computer into a virtual office. All you have to do is look at your device to bring its screen into the headset without being bound to a specific spot. Unfortunately, this of course works exclusively on Apple's own products and disappointingly supports only a single screen at the moment. What makes it stand out though is that you can connect your Magic Keyboard, mouse and trackpad over Bluetooth and wait for it, control both Mac and Vision OS simultaneously. Oh man, this still blows my mind. As you could already see earlier, Quest works with accessories too, but they don't let you navigate across 2 operating systems. In the main menu, I tried to go from a native Quest app to its single remote display, but it didn't let me control it. What it does do is let you see your keyboard in VR, something that is a problem on Apple's headset. In case you're on the road, you can download apps like Immersed and Split Screen that expand your laptop by adding virtual screens, a cheap and future-proof way of not having to bring or buy extra monitors anymore. And yes, to bring this to a close, Vision does have 2 additional productivity apps. There is a Freeform in which you can share a whiteboard with up to 100 people, but it's a missed opportunity that you can't spatially use the Apple Pencil. And next to that, we got Keynote 2 that lets you give presentations. It works really well, but with no social framework in place, doesn't give you the option to invite others to sit in the audience. So for basic work tasks and in-person VR meetups, the Quest does an okay job, but for anything beyond that, the Vision, alongside its advanced window management, resolution and processing power, is a beast of a work machine that you can use for long and extensive work weeks. Lastly, about gaming and fitness, I can be pretty straightforward. Vision is lovely for casual experiences, such as playing board games and puzzlers. You can put these on the table somewhere and start playing. If you want to dive into something more active, that's where you can see that the Vision's hand tracking can't keep up with the speed of the game, failing to deliver in most situations. Something that's worth mentioning too is that it is powerful enough to natively run 2D titles, serving as a console you can wear on your face. And you can stream games while you're traveling. All you have to do is pack your controller and you're set. So besides running big flat pancake games on the headset, Quest can do all of this for a while now. In regards of hand tracking, it's almost like the faster you move your hands in front of this headset, the better its tracking becomes. You can definitely see that Vision struggles to do what Meta can in high intensity experiences, and if you are a hardcore gamer who loves action-packed VR content, then the choice is even easier. Vision not being that ergonomic design-wise and having no additional controllers, it's no surprise that the Quest is the ultimate VR gaming and fitness device that was made to get you immersed in the most magical ways possible. The Quest store is filled with tons of engaging titles that will blow your mind, plus feeling these with the controllers takes it to a whole nother level. So if you weren't planning to play games on a giant screen or a few casual ones in Passthrough but want to be inside the game instead, then the Quest is the headset for you. Yes, I know, similar to Quest Link, you can now use ALVR to play PC games on Vision, but it is only interesting to those who are desperate for its resolution, because its process is not necessarily consumer friendly. And there you have it, that's my comparison of these two unique headsets. And as you can see, they're both amazing in their own way, and one isn't necessarily better than the other despite their price differences. They excel in their respective fields, but also face hurdles that need to be overcome. Apple and Meta will undoubtedly strive to outpace each other in their areas of expertise, so I anticipate updates for these headsets in the coming months that greatly enhance their capabilities. This competition can be seen as a rising tide that lifts all boats. To me, it's clear that their similarities and differences are what make them interesting to a wide audience, meaning more people will likely own a headset in the future, which is a win-win for us all. That said, I love these devices so much. I can't stop using the Quest for gaming and meeting up with my virtual friends, and Vision for work stuff, social media, and of course watching movies. So for me personally, this is a great balance between everything I ever wanted. I want to thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of these headsets, and until next time. Bye bye!